more than a month ago, and now it is here. It's something that still, even a fresh trade war between the U.S. and China has just kicked off.
China and the United States. The trade war resurfaces. China, the world's largest manufacturing powerhouse, is now bracing for a fierce battle against the second wave of tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. This time, the target is America's agricultural sector and high-tech industries. While Beijing has assured the global markets that it prefers a peaceful resolution, it has made it clear that retaliation is inevitable if its interests are threatened. Just 1 month after the U.S. imposed a 10% tariff on Chinese goods, it introduced an additional 10%, along with 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. The White House has shown no signs of backing down, warning that if China responds too aggressively, tariffs could rise to as much as 60%. Meanwhile, Canada's retaliatory measures suggest that Washington is facing economic battles on multiple fronts. The world economy is now on edge, fearing a repeat of the 2019 trade war, as escalating moves from both superpowers could disrupt global supply chains. China's strategic response. China has several options at its disposal, from shifting aviation orders to Airbus to restricting semiconductor exports. The latest round of retaliatory measures from Beijing appears to be just the beginning rather than an outright strike. China seems determined to counter the Trump administration's tariffs with stronger stance than before. On March 4, 2025, Chinese Minister of Commerce Wang went to declare at a press conference in Beijing, "We will not yield to these tariffs and will swiftly launch countermeasures. While we remain open to dialogue, any attack on China's interests will be met with retaliation." One of China's strongest responses has been against tariffs on fentanyl and its derivatives. In response, Beijing has imposed broad tariffs on American agricultural imports and restricted 15 U.S. companies from purchasing Chinese products without special authorization. From March 10th onward, China will impose 15% tariffs on U.S. chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, 10% tariffs on other food products, including soybeans and dairy. Additionally, 15 American companies, including Skyo, a major drone manufacturer and supplier to the U.S. military, will now require special authorization to purchase Chinese goods. These tariffs will affect 15% of U.S. exports to China, amounting to $21 billion in trade losses. A battle over technology and supply chains. China's retaliation is not just about agricultural products. In February, after the U.S. imposed new tariffs, Beijing immediately announced additional tariffs on liquefied natural gas, coal, and agricultural machinery. Although these initial tariffs impacted only a small portion of U.S. exports, China is now signaling a broader counteroffensive. A significant threat to the U.S. is China's ability to disrupt key supply chains by restricting exports of semiconductors and rare earth elements, both essential for the U.S. defense and technology sectors. If Beijing takes this route, it could significantly impact American industries, from electronics to military hardware. Additionally, China has placed 10 more U.S. companies on its untrustworthy organizations list, barring them from doing business in the country. Most of these companies are military contractors. But biotech firm Illumina has also been blacklisted for allegedly violating market rules. The political and economic fallout. At a press conference on March 3rd, President Trump accused China of failing to curb the export of fentanyl to the U.S., a substance responsible for a devastating opioid crisis. China must stop fentanyl exports before we negotiate, Trump stated, justifying his tariffs as a necessary measure. Beijing, however, dismissed these allegations as exaggerated and baseless, arguing that fentanyl issues should not be linked to trade disputes. A spokesperson for China's Ministry of Commerce declared, "The United States' actions are provoking outrage among the Chinese people. We are preparing full-scale countermeasures." Beyond the trade war with China, the U.S. is also facing retaliatory moves from Canada, which is considering restricting energy and electricity exports to America. Economists warn that simultaneously engaging in trade conflicts with multiple countries could drive up inflation and disrupt supply chains in the U.S. The battle for agriculture and aerospace. China is strategically targeting the American agricultural sector, one of Trump's strongest political support bases. With new tariffs on soybeans, corn, and meat products, Beijing aims to pressure Midwestern farmers, a critical voting bloc for Trump. In 2024, China imported $100 billion worth of U.S. agricultural products, including soybeans, corn, meat, seafood, and dairy. If Beijing further raises tariffs or cuts imports to zero, American farmers could face severe financial hardships. A similar situation arose in 2019, forcing Trump to introduce massive financial aid packages to prevent farmer bankruptcies. China is also considering reducing its purchases of Boeing airplanes in favor of European competitor Airbus. Boeing currently sells around 150 airplanes annually to China, and losing this market could deal a massive financial blow to the American aerospace industry. The bigger picture. China has hinted that if the U.S. escalates tariffs further, it may retaliate by restricting exports of rare earth elements, which are vital to semiconductor production and defense technologies. This move was previously threatened during the 2019 trade war, causing major concerns in Washington. Meanwhile, President Trump remains firm in his stance, declaring, "We will not make concessions. Those who don't like our tariffs should trade fairly or pay the price." As tensions escalate, both nations are positioning themselves for a prolonged economic battle. Will China's countermeasures force the U.S. to reconsider its approach? Or will Trump's aggressive tariff policies bring Beijing to the negotiating table? One thing is certain. This standoff between the world's two largest economies is intensifying, and its outcome will have far-reaching consequences for global trade. Who do you think will blink first, China or Trump? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis.